The woman laughed first. That was the part nobody talked about afterward. Not in the lobby, not in the news brief that ran 3 days later, not even in the HR report that eventually cost 2 people their jobs. She laughed, and then she reached for her phone. Adrian Mensah had just pressed the elevator button for the 14th floor when he heard it. He didn't turn around right away. He was used to being the only black man in rooms like this one. Marble floors, fresh flowers in the center island, the kind of hotel lobby where the air itself felt expensive. He had checked into the Caldwell Grand 47 minutes ago without incident. The woman at the front desk had been professional, maybe a little distant, but professional. His key card worked. His luggage was already upstairs. Everything was fine. So when he heard the laugh, he assumed it was meant for someone else. It wasn't. "Excuse me." The voice came sharp and clipped across the lobby. "Excuse me, sir. Can I ask what you're doing?" Adrian turned. The woman walking toward him was somewhere in her late 40s, wearing a blazer the color of cream, her hair pulled back with the kind of practiced precision that suggested she had been dressed for authority her entire adult life. Her name tag read, Donna Whitfield, Just Relations Director. "I'm going to my room," Adrian said. "And which room is that?" He looked at her for a moment, not with anger, not yet, just looked at her the way a person looks at something that doesn't quite make sense. 1412, he said. Donna Whitfield glanced toward the front desk. A younger woman there, mid-20s, visibly uncomfortable, made the smallest possible movement with her shoulders. Not quite a shrug, more like she was trying to disappear into her own collar. "I'm going to need to verify that," Donna said. Adrian reached into the inside pocket of his jacket and produced the key card sleeve with the room number printed on it. He held it out. She looked at it the way people look at things they've already decided not to believe. "We've had some issues with unauthorized access," she said. "I'm sure you understand. I checked in less than an hour ago. My name is Adrian Mensah. You can pull it up at the front desk. I'm going to need you to wait here while we sort this out." He didn't move. He didn't argue. He stood exactly where he was and watched her walk back toward the desk. The lobby wasn't busy. A couple near the entrance with luggage, a businessman on his phone by the window, 2 older women seated in the lounge chairs with coffee. Every single one of them had stopped what they were doing. The young woman at the desk, her tag said Cassie, typed something and looked up at Donna with an expression that said she had found exactly what she expected to find and wished she hadn't. "His reservation is confirmed," Cassie said, quiet enough that Adrian almost didn't hear it. "Is it a corporate account?" Donna asked. "Yes, ma'am. Which company?" Cassie hesitated. She looked down at her screen. She looked back up. "Mensah Hospitality Group." The silence that followed was the kind that fills a room like water. Donna Whitfield's expression did not change. That was the remarkable thing. It didn't fall, didn't shift, didn't do the thing faces usually do when the ground moves under them. It simply held, like a mask that had been worn so long it forgot there was a face underneath. "I'm going to need to make a call," she said. "Take your time," Adrian said. He walked to one of the lounge chairs and sat down. He crossed one leg over the other. He picked up his phone and checked his messages. He did not look at Donna Whitfield, or at Cassie, or at the couple by the entrance, who were now not even pretending not to watch. The Caldwell Grand was one of 11 hotels in the Mensah Hospitality Group portfolio. Adrian had acquired it 14 months ago as part of a broader regional expansion along the eastern seaboard. He had been on property twice during the transition, once for the signing, once for a walkthrough with the facilities team. He had not been back since. The day-to-day was handled by a general manager named Frank Delacroix, a capable man who ran a clean operation and sent reliable weekly reports. Adrian was here now because he had a board meeting in the city the following morning, and because he preferred staying in his own properties when travel allowed. He had not announced himself. He never did. That was something his father had taught him, back when the Mensah family still operated a single bed and breakfast outside of Savannah. His father used to say that a business tells you the truth when it doesn't know you're listening. He was listening now. Donna had stepped into a back office. Through the glass panel beside the door, Adrian could see her on the phone, gesturing with one hand. Her posture was still authoritative, but something in the angle of her shoulders had changed, the way a building changes right before the foundation gives. Cassie busied herself at the desk. She reorganized a stack of papers that didn't need reorganizing. She clicked through screens. Every 30 seconds or so, she glanced toward the lounge chairs and then looked quickly away. The couple with the luggage had gone. The businessman had moved to a chair closer to where Adrian was sitting, his phone still in his hand but not really being used. The two women in the lounge chairs had not moved at all. One of them caught Adrian's eye and gave him a small, quiet nod. He nodded back. 8 minutes passed. The back office door opened. Donna Whitfield came out first. Behind her was a man Adrian recognized, Frank Delacroix, the general manager, in a suit that looked like it had been put on quickly, the collar not quite right. He must have been somewhere on the property. He was moving fast. Frank's face, unlike Donna's, showed everything. He crossed the lobby in long strides and extended his hand before he was fully stopped. "Mr. Mensah, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were." "I know you didn't," Adrian said. He shook Frank's hand. "Sit down, Frank." Frank sat. Donna stood near the desk, still upright, still composed, but there was something different about the composition now. It had the quality of a wall that had been freshly painted over a crack. "Can someone explain to me?" Adrian said, and his voice was level, almost pleasant. "What just happened?" Frank looked at Donna. Donna looked at a point on the floor about 3 feet in front of her. "Ms. Whitfield initiated a guest verification protocol," Frank said carefully. "I know what she did," Adrian said. "I was here. I'd like to know why." The silence stretched. Donna Whitfield finally lifted her eyes. "We have procedures," she said. "For unauthorized." "I wasn't unauthorized," Adrian said. "I had a confirmed reservation, a key card, and a room number." "What specific behavior prompted the protocol?" She didn't answer. "Was it the way I was dressed?" He was wearing a charcoal wool blazer, dark trousers, a white dress shirt open at the collar. He had come from a lunch meeting. He looked by any reasonable standard exactly like the kind of guest the Caldwell Grand was designed for. "Was it the floor I pressed in the elevator?" "Still nothing." "Miss Whitfield." Adrian leaned forward slightly. "I have been in this industry for 22 years. I have checked into hotels on 5 continents. I know what happened here, and I think you know that I know. So I'm going to give you one opportunity to be honest with me, because what happens next depends entirely on what you say in the next 30 seconds. Donna Whitfield opened her mouth, closed it. Something moved across her face. Not shame exactly, but the recognition of a corner she had painted herself into. "You didn't look like a guest," she said finally. The businessman near the window let out a short breath. One of the women in the lounge chairs made a small sound. "What does a guest look like?" Adrian asked. No answer. He stood up. He straightened his jacket. He was not a tall man, 5'10" at most, but in that moment the lobby seemed to arrange itself around him differently. "Frank," he said, "I'd like you to pull the security footage from the past 40 minutes and have it sent to my assistant by end of day. I'd also like the guest relations log for the past 30 days, every flag, every protocol call, every notation, and I'd like to see the employee conduct policies currently in place." Frank was already writing. "I'm going up to my room," Adrian said. "I have calls this evening. We'll speak tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, before I leave for the board meeting." He turned toward the elevator. He pressed the button. The doors opened. Before he stepped in, he paused. "Cassie," he said. The young woman at the front desk looked up. Her expression caught somewhere between dread and relief. "You did your job correctly tonight. Thank you." The doors closed. The board meeting the next morning was held in a conference room on the 22nd floor of an office building 4 blocks from the hotel. 14 people around a table, quarterly reports, projected growth figures, a spirited debate about a potential acquisition in the Midwest. Adrian ran it the way. He ran everything, methodically, without raising his voice, letting the numbers speak where numbers could speak, and asking the right questions where they couldn't. Nobody in that room knew what had happened in the lobby the evening before. He hadn't told anyone yet. That was a choice, and he'd made it deliberately, the way he made most choices, quietly, in the dark, before anyone else was awake. He had been up at 5:30 that morning, coffee in hand, reviewing the materials Frank had sent over. The security footage, the log, the conduct policies. He had watched the footage 3 times, not out of anger, but out of the same methodical attention he gave everything that required a decision. What he saw confirmed what he already knew. Donna Whitfield had watched him enter the lobby, had watched him stand at the elevator for approximately 40 seconds, and had then made a call on her cell phone before walking toward him. The call was to hotel security, a detail that hadn't been mentioned the night before. The guest relations log told its own story. In the 8 months since Donna had been promoted to guest relations director, there were 14 protocol flags. 11 of them involved guests who were Black or Latino. 2 of the remaining 3 had been flagged based on attire concerns. Both men had been in casual clothes. The 14th was a woman who had apparently been in the wrong wing of the hotel and seemed confused. The conduct policies were standard, clear. Donna Whitfield had not followed them. She had, in fact, created a shadow system that existed nowhere in writing. A system that lived in her own judgment and her own assumptions, and had, apparently, been operating quietly for the better part of a year. Adrian was a patient man. He had grown up needing to be. He had started his career as an assistant operations manager at a mid-tier hotel in Atlanta. At 24, one of 3 Black employees in management. He knew what it felt like to have his keycard not work when everyone else's did. To be asked twice whether he was sure he was in the right meeting. To have his ideas credited to someone else in the same breath they were approved. He had built his company, slowly, carefully, deal by deal, precisely so that the places he owned would not run that way. That was the whole point. The board meeting ended at noon. Adrian declined the group lunch, said his goodbyes, and walked the 4 blocks back to the Caldwell Grand in the cold autumn air, hands in his pockets. Frank was waiting in the lobby. So was Donna Whitfield, standing slightly apart, her posture still straight but her composure worn thinner than the day before. Beside her was a man Adrian didn't recognize. Compact, well-dressed, the defensive bearing of someone who'd had a difficult morning. "Mr. Mensah," Frank said, "this is Jeffrey Nall. He's our regional HR director." Adrian shook Jeffrey's hand. "Good. I'm glad you're here." He looked at the small group. "Let's use the conference room." The conversation that followed lasted 40 minutes. Adrian didn't shout. He didn't perform outrage. He laid out what he had found, the footage, the log, the pattern, and he asked questions. And he listened to the answers, and when the answers didn't hold up, he noted that too. Donna offered explanations. Each one collapsed under the weight of the next document. She said the protocol was applied consistently. The log said otherwise. She said she had been acting on guest complaints. There were no complaints on file. She said she had been trying to protect the property. Adrian asked her from what, exactly, and the room went quiet. Jeffrey Nall, to his credit, did not try to spin it. He sat with his hands folded and his jaw set, and he asked Donna twice if there was anything else she wanted to add. She said no, both times. He made notes. At the end of the 40 minutes, Adrian said, "I want a full internal review of every protocol flag for the past 2 years, not just Ms. Whitfield's tenure. I want it completed in 30 days, and I want mandatory bias training for all guest-facing staff hotel-wide before Q1. "Of course," Jeffrey said. Adrian looked at Donna Whitfield one last time. She was looking at the table. He didn't say anything else to her. He didn't need to. The documents in front of them said everything that needed saying. And the rest was between her and the HR process, which Jeffrey Nall was already setting in motion in his head. Adrian could see it in the way the man was holding his pen. He took the elevator to the 14th floor. His room was exactly as he'd left it that morning. Bed made by housekeeping. The curtains open. The city spread out below the window in the gray autumn light. He stood there for a moment, jacket still on, just looking at it. He had stayed in this room, in this city, in this hotel that he owned. and a woman who worked for him had called security on him because of the color of his skin. He turned that over in his mind the way you turn a stone over to see what's underneath. Not to wallow in it, not to let it metastasize into something that would eat him alive, the way it had tried to eat men he'd known. Men who were better than him in a dozen different ways, and had still burned out before 40, trying to fight a thing that would not stay still long enough to be fought. He turned it over, and then he set it down. There was a knock at the door. Room service. He had ordered lunch sent up before the meeting. He ate at the small table by the window, answering emails between bites, watching the clouds move over the city. That evening, before he left the property, he stopped at the front desk. Cassie was on shift again. She looked up with the expression of someone who had spent the last 24 hours trying to figure out how to feel. "Everything okay?" Adrian asked. "Yes, sir," she said. "Then, I'm sorry about what happened. Yesterday, you don't need to apologize. You did the right thing. I should have said something sooner," she said, when she came to the desk. "I knew it wasn't right. She stopped. I didn't say anything. Adrian was quiet for a moment. "It takes practice," he said. "Saying something. It's not easy, especially when it's your manager and your job's on the line. But it gets easier if you keep doing it." She nodded. "I looked at your performance reviews," he said. "You're good at this job. I'd like Frank to have a conversation with you about the assistant manager track, if that's something you're interested in." She blinked. Yes, absolutely. Good." He picked up his bag. "Take care of the property." He walked out through the lobby and into the evening air. 2 weeks later, Donna Whitfield was formally terminated following the completion of the internal review, which confirmed a pattern of discriminatory conduct spanning 19 months. Jeffrey Nall filed a comprehensive report with the company's legal team. 3 other staff members were placed on mandatory retraining. A new guest experience protocol, co-written by Adrian's corporate team and a civil rights consultant, was implemented across all 11 Mensah Hospitality Group properties. Adrian was not there for any of it. He was in Chicago, then Dallas, then back in Atlanta for a development meeting about a property in New Orleans he was considering for the portfolio. He read the reports when they came in. He responded with notes and follow-up questions. He thought about his father sometimes, in the early mornings before the city woke up. About the bed and breakfast outside Savannah and the way his father used to say that a business tells you the truth when it doesn't know you're listening. His father had built that place from nothing, had kept it for 30 years, had treated every guest, every single one, the way he would want his own family treated if they walked through a stranger's door. Had taught Adrian that a hotel wasn't just a building. It was a promise. Adrian was keeping the promise. That was all. The lobby of the Caldwell Grand was quiet on a Tuesday morning in November. When Cassie walked into her first shift as assistant manager, a new name tag on her blazer, the front desk arranged exactly the way she liked it. She greeted the first guest with a smile. She didn't laugh first. Now, consider this somewhere right now. A woman who looks just like Donna Whitfield is working her first shift at a property she knows nothing about. What do you think she's deciding about the next person who walks through that door?